go to our guest, Connor, from One Leeds Fan Channel. Connor, how you doing, my friend?
All right, lads. Yeah, really good. Yeah, not too bad. It's going to be a good game, hopefully, this weekend. I think you're right with both your predictions as well. There's going to be goals, definitely.
Yeah, and how do you assess Leeds so far under Jesse March, and how do you feel you're going so far this season?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, to be honest, there's a fair few cracks in my opinion. I know we've turned the corner a little bit, but it's just how you guys will play against Leeds. That's going to be the interesting part of it, because I know Conte might approach the game a little bit differently, but every top six side that's come up against Leeds have tried to play through Leeds, and obviously with our pressing and how incredible it is, it's difficult for teams, even the top teams, to do that. I mean, we were deserved winners against Liverpool. We battered Chelsea. We were the toughest game that Arsenal have had so far this season. That should have been 3 or 4. But against the lowly ranked teams, we're really struggling, because what we do is we press in units, and you bypass that press. You go route one, Big Sam-esque, and Leeds are in trouble. They're very, very vulnerable. And as you boys have just said, quite rightly, the back four is, I wouldn't say atrocious, but it's championship level, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Jesse March has come under a lot of pressure this season. Obviously, he's turned it around recently with a couple of wins at the right time. But what were your feelings on him? Did you feel like it was time for him to leave, or are you still think Leeds are going in the right direction under him?
Yeah, to be honest, Tim, I think I'd actually like to get your point of view, both of your point of view on this as well. Because what we do is we deploy a very, very interesting system. It's basically a traditional Red Bull system, which is what Ralph Hasenhüttl used to do as well before he obviously got the sack at Southampton. And it's all about not having possession. It's about kicking the ball up and recovering the ball in the attacking third. So those pressing units go, they win the ball, and then it's all about the effectiveness in front of goal. I don't know if you can have that lesser control on the ball in the Premier League. I think that there are too many good teams in this division to really, really hurt you. So, when it comes to stability and sustainability for the long term, I think there's problems, and I'm not convinced yet, because I just don't think you can get rid of the ball that much in the Premier League. You need to have some element of control and foot on the ball. If you don't, then I think you're gonna concede a fair few chances, and we have done so far. I don't know what you boys think on retention of the ball in the Premier League. I think it's a big thing.
I mean, yeah, definitely coming from talking about Spurs Conte ball right now. We don't seem to concentrate too much on ball retention. It seems to be okay for us, but then again, you could argue our better quality players is what's getting us results rather than specifically the tactics. But definitely Conte, the way he structured the team, we play with a back three, so it's a bit different potentially. We've got a bit more protection for the back line when we're out of possession. We do press in periods, but it does seem like a lot of the time we are soaking up pressure, but I guess we have the defensive structure to deal with that. And you got to question whether Leeds, when they do have to go through those periods where they have to regroup and they have to be tight and they try and not give up chances, do they have the defensive structure to do that? And at the moment, it doesn't seem so. Even when you're winning, again, as you say, you deserve a winners against Liverpool, but Meslier was arguably your best player in that game as well. He was brilliant. So it's not as if even in those games you're not conceding chances, isn't it?
Yeah, you bang on. I mean, we'll always, that's the thing, and you guys have referenced Bielsa. We naturally have to when we talk about Leeds, because it's a huge part of our growth, really. But in the Bielsa era, if you want to put it that way, it was chaos, it was frantic, and we haven't transitioned that much away from it. We used to be very expansive, we used to play with a lot of width, and now we play narrow. The entire ethos of Leeds going forward is to play compact and to defend sort of narrow, but attack narrow as well. So you'll see a lack of width from Leeds. So I think with Spurs, and I think that invites a lot of pressure onto us, but I think with Spurs, if you expose Leeds out wide and you just simply, I know you just mentioned Conte doesn't like having the ball, but that's a huge advantage for Spurs, because if you can just essentially bypass the press, get the ball into Harry Kane in that sort of central attacking midfield role, then I can only see one scenario for Leeds. But if you do keep hold of the ball and we're able to press players like maybe Emerson Royale, then I can see Leeds getting a lot of success there. So I think like you just said, you mentioned a back three there, and I thought, yeah, that's a really good back three on the ball. But I do think there is potential if, as you've just said, he starts maybe Davinson Sanchez or Emerson Royale for Leeds to really gain success in the attacking third.
Yeah, I really do worry if we start Davinson Sanchez, because you're just going to hound him down, and he's so nervy on the ball, really nervy on the ball, and that's not what you want against this Leeds side. But I want to talk to you about one player in specific, and that's Somerville. Suddenly he's just popped out of nowhere, 3 goals in a row now. Where's he come from, and how good is he?
Yeah, so he was from our sort of development team, and we've known about him for a while now, sort of 2 to 3 years, but he's not really made that step up from the under-21s. So we bought him initially from the Dutch league, Feyenoord, I believe it was, about 2 or 3 years ago, and we thought he'd make the step up a little bit sooner because he's almost too good for the 21s, but he hasn't really made that jump to the first team, which you guys all know from the 21s to the first team, the Premier League as well. It's a huge jump, and I think sometimes people underestimate that. So yeah, he's come in and he's just been really energetic on the ball. He's brave, which I like. He's direct, and that's what I sometimes get frustrated with a lot of our players. I mean, Jack Harrison, I heard you mentioning him earlier on. He's very lateral this season. He gets the ball, and the majority of the time he goes back or he goes across the field, whereas Somerville is direct. And I think, I don't know what you boys think, but I think if you direct against any sort of Premier League defender, it's a problem. It really is a huge problem. And I think there's an abundance of quality wingers in the Premier League, and Somerville has really come on with that. And we've got another player, an Italian international as well. He's only 18, called William Yonso, and he's been exceptional for us in the last sort of 2 to 3 games. So he's definitely one to watch. He's absolutely rapid, and yeah, very, very direct. So yeah, we've got a few there. I think you mentioned Sinisterra earlier on as well, and he's injured. So obviously Somerville's come in, but it's actually been really beneficial for Somerville because I don't think he'd have got the chance if Sinisterra had been fully fit, But yeah, he's come in. He's doing very well. Very impressed so far.
Yeah, looking at from a Leeds, as a Leeds fan, looking at Tottenham, obviously we're in the top 4, but there's grumblings, a bit of discontent at the moment. Spurs are we've been 2-0 down in our last 5 domestic games. We've conceded the first goal in 8 games in a row at the moment, albeit we're in the final 16 of the Champions League and we're still in the top 4 of the Premier League. When you look at Spurs, do you think that's a team going places, or do you think we're going to get found out under Antonio Conte? How do you see things?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Spurs. I started to really watch them under the Pochettino era quite regularly because it mirrored what we were doing in a kind of strange way with Bielsa. So yeah, and I sort of love that possession-based, flowing, expansive football. I don't know. The Conte era, I feel, is jolting a little bit. It's not got started yet. I'm not fully convinced that it's almost an evolutionary way of playing football, how Conte plays. But it's effective, and it can be effective. I just don't know whether or not the Premier League has moved on a little bit too much for Antonio Conte's style of football anymore. But yeah, I think it's been a bit of a stuttering start. Do I see it improving for Spurs? I do. I do question the top 4, though. I do think that maybe the Premier League is very, very good this year, and it's definitely an improvement on last year, in my opinion. So I don't know if Spurs have made the necessary improvements to be able to galvanise themselves into that top 4, even though I'll get myself popular on this show. I do prefer Spurs to Arsenal, so I'm hoping that happens. Little wink there, but yeah, no, I think yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, definitely. But it's been a bit of a stuttering start, which in a strange sort of way is quite surprising. But in another way, when I look at Conte's style of football, I think maybe it's not that surprising.
Interesting. So, having said all that, how do you see the game going, and what's your score prediction?
Well, after that, I'm going to have to say 4-1 Leeds. No, I'm joking. I think it's set myself up there. No, I think both of your predictions actually really surprised me, and maybe there's not a mass confidence from the Spurs side as well. I thought I was going to come on here and it was going to be maybe a 3-0 or 2-0 predictions from you boys, but yeah. So I think we're going into it a little bit cautiously, but there's obviously a lack of pressure on us. We've won our last 2 games, obviously beating Liverpool in the process as well. So a lack of pressure, definitely, which I think can be maybe it's quite dangerous for Spurs. But I ultimately think you've got too much quality. I don't know if Kulusevski's starting, who I am so impressed with. What a player. I don't know if Richarlison's about, or Son. I don't think those two are ready. I'm not sure. You guys can help me on that one. That obviously,
Richarlison came on Wednesday night and he looked pretty good, and Kulusevski as well, but they both came on.
Son's definitely out there.
Okay, and so I'm probably going to go with I'll go with a 2-2. That'd be a nice score. But I'll tell you what, you mentioned earlier on about Jed Spence as well. Boys, I covered the Championship last season for my job. You simply have to start this guy more. What a player! What a player he is. So yeah, be interesting to see if he starts. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-2.
Would absolutely love him to start. But just before we round it off, let's get into Betmate. So obviously this video is sponsored by Betmate. We're both obviously Spurs v Leeds pot this weekend. It's an absolutely free pot. All you have to do to join it is use the promo code TOT-LEE for Tottenham against Leeds, and the winner will go home with £100 in their pocket this weekend. Obviously it's a really fun to play fantasy betting app where you get rewarded for defensive actions as well, not only just the attacking actions like you see in FPL, but you get rewards for interceptions and tackles. The Bentancurs and Højbjergs of these worlds have really been doing well in Betmate this year. But let's start off with your team, Connor. Go through your team with us and explain why you have picked these players.
Now you're testing my memory.
We can bring it up.
It's on screen for you if you want it.
God, boys, thank you so much for that. If you hadn't done that, I'd have been struggling. So I've gone with Illan Meslier in net. Obviously, we know with Betmate, it's not just on goals conceded and stuff like that. It's based on saves as well. And Elan's making some, as you both referenced, this season has made some mad saves, a ridiculous amount of saves as well. And I think there's going to be a fair few shots on goal. Eric Dyer, I've been impressed with Dyer this season. I really have.
You?
The Spurs, I think. Yeah,
you can have him if you want.
Yeah, well, I'll take it, to be honest. I've been reasonably impressed with him, to be honest. I have. I do think he gets a lot. Maybe it's the England bias I've got in me, but I think Dyer's been all right. Perisic, big fan of Perisic. I think obviously there's definitely room for him in this game to get up and down that flank and potentially get an assist or a goal. Tyler Adams, I've got as captain, as you guys have just mentioned. It's not all about goals and assists in the Betmate app. It is about tackles and defensive actions, and this guy is he's superb for his season, been our best signing. Kulusevski in there as well, probably one of my favourite players inside the top four. Harry Kane, there is no explanation needed really. And we've got with Brendan Aronson there as well, because I think if maybe someone in the central spaces like Højbjerg keeps hold of the ball for sustained periods of time, this guy's going to nick it off him and potentially could get a goal or an assist, who knows. But yeah, that's my team.
All right, interesting. I mean, Brendan Aronson is definitely a player that I've been impressed with since joining Leeds, but I would like to see him add a few more maybe goals and assists to his game. But he's a very impressive player, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I'm sure you would as well. I'm sure you would. But let's look at my team. We'll go to my team next. I've gone for Hugo Lloris in goal. I do think neither of these keepers will make a clean sheet, but I do think Hugo Lloris will come under fire at some stage in the game and hopefully make the saves to match that. I've gone for Ivan Perisic in the defence. He's been playing up front recently. I don't expect him to play up front in this game, but at left wing back with his set pieces ability, I expect he can easily grab an assist. I've gone for Cooper alongside him at the back because he's sometimes full of tackles and interceptions, and he can even be an aerial threat from set pieces as well. In the midfield, I've gone for Dejan Kulusevski as captain, and he came on with a bit of a point to prove, not in the Carabao Cup, but the game before that, and he looked really good when coming on. So hopefully if he starts from the off, we can really see his attacking talent shine through. I've gone alongside him, I've gone from Rodrigo as my vice captain. Obviously vice captains gets times 1.5 points, and Rodrigo will probably be starting up front for Leeds, and I expect him to get a goal, to be honest. So from the midfield, I think that's pretty smart move. And up front, I've gone for Richarlison and Somerville. So Somerville, obviously, we just spoke about him. He's a man on form. And Richarlison coming back from injury, I'm hoping he can hit maybe a Leeds defence that is gettable. So that is my team.
And for my team, I've gone with Meslier in goal. I think he's going to make plenty of saves, and you get a point for each save. So I've got him in. Perisic with his set pieces and ability to get forward. That's why he's in my team. Eric Dyer, I believe, is going to be playing the wide centre-back role, and that allows him to get a bit further forward and maybe get some crosses in the box. So I've put him in for that reason. In midfield, I've got for Bentancur and Kulusevski, who I think Bentancur obviously makes lots of tackles, interceptions, and he's recently been getting goals recently. Kulusevski, hopefully he's in the starting 11 getting goals and assists. And then up front, Kane captain, no argument needed, and Somerville's in great form, and I think he can maybe win a penalty or maybe get a goal. So I've got him in my team. So that's my 7.
All right, so if you want to join us on Betmate and take all of us on this week and win that pot for £100 goes to the winner, and there's prizes as well for the runners-up spaces and everything like that. So come and take us on. It's a completely free pot. Link will be
Tottenham TV fans versus the One Leeds fans.
Exactly, exactly. So come and take us all on. It's got to be a Tottenham fan on top this weekend. But Connor, thank you.
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing okay, guys. I think our Leeds fans are doing all right in this section. So hopefully we can big ourselves up.
Connor's thrown down the gauntlet. You heard
He's thrown it down. So for all you Spurs fans out there, come and take all of us on, and let's beat the Leeds fans this weekend. Let's beat them on and off the pitch this weekend. But Connor, thank you so much for coming on today. Everyone, if you go and subscribe to One Leeds fan channel, some brilliant Leeds content. And I believe you made an appearance on the Overlap last week as well. So big up for that.
Yeah, stole the show, mate, as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming on, mate. And hopefully we'll catch up later on in the season.
Good luck, lads. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Bye. That was Connor from One Leeds fan channel. Brilliant stuff there.